today we got to play Starship Captains. Now, this is a game where we're going to go out in space. But before we do, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell because board games are amazing, and that's what we do here at Legends of Nirvana. Now, Randy, can you tell us a little bit about this game from Czech Games?
Yep, this is a 2022 release. It's got a Board Game Geek rating currently of 7.3 and a Board Game Geek rank of 2577. It's a 1 to 4 player game, 40 to 100 minutes average length, age 12 and up, which is probably about right. Design is by Peter B. Hofgaard. Art is by Mergen Edenbeyer, Jiri Mikovic, Radim Peck, Jacob Politzer, and František Sedlacek. And I guarantee you I mispronounced about every one of those.
That was pretty murderous.
Yes. Published by CGE, or Czech Games Edition. And the MSRP on this is $59.95. It's currently at Miniature Market for $44.99. Card House has it for $41.79. So that's the best price I saw around. So, yep, that's the information. Now, this is a game I got to see a kind of a walkthrough from Czech Games at Gen Con, and it was the one that caught my interest the most that they had there. So let's move on to the next segment.
So, all right, the next segment obviously is about quality of components. So you do have these cardboard 3D ships.
During the first playthrough of this, people we were playing with were both complaining about the fact that those were not like miniatures, which
I'll be honest, they look like toilet seats.
Yeah, they kind of do. Porta potties. That's what I thought too. I mean, the good news is they folded them double thick, so they do stay together really well.
Yeah, but they're already peeling in the corners.
Yeah, that's typical. Unfortunately, with CGE, the cardboard, the layers don't stay well. I mean, we've seen the same thing with the Galaxy Trucker and
now I will say the actual miniatures that are in this game, I love the fact that there are different people. So it's not just a blue worker. They have boys and girls, and they've got different hairstyles on them.
So they put Vulcan ears on some of them. So yeah they definitely made it very similar to...
they did not restrict to a particular alien species. So... I actually really liked that. I thought that was actually really cool. It was actually one of my favorite components. Is that to see that, because a lot of times you get these miniatures and they all look the same. That was not the case here. I think they did.
And they did do inlaid boards, although, however, these are ones you have to put together again. You have to punch the holes out, and then you have to use these little stickies that they have in there just to put it together.
That's not so bad.
This one worked out better than most of the ones that you have to pre-assemble or assemble.
Yeah, especially considering that last one we dealt with.
Yeah, this is way better than Oros, which is the one we were talking about before that had the much worse design.
Card quality, no linen finish. Not great.
No,
not great at all.
Yeah. The board does have a linen finish. It's kind of a stick. It doesn't have a nice edge on the board though. It's just cut off. But it's the board itself is linen finished.
Yeah, but
as is like cardboard ships.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they tried, but they didn't succeed. So I don't know where to put that on the scale.
I mean, I think the miniatures are a step above normal. And, as far as you get a lot of stuff, a lot of bits, I'll probably give it a 6.5.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I mean, 6.5, maybe 7 if you're being generous. Maybe. But I'm absolutely fine with the 6.5. All right, so now let's move on to the actual theme. You are a starship captain, and you are going to be traveling the universe, trying to go after those pirates, but complete missions on the different planets that you are going to go exploring. Now, obviously, your ship is not the best. You just got it, and you need to upgrade your ship with different technologies. That way, you can better serve the galaxy. So... I have always been a fan of Star Trek. I grew up on it. That's one of my dad's shows. Like, he would always watch, and it was one of the few shows that I actually enjoyed that he watched, because it was either that or Westerns, and this Star Trek definitely won over the Westerns for me at the time. Because remember, I was, So I like the theme and I like the art. I think it's super cute. I mean, it's definitely not like authentic Star Trek, but it still gave the feel because the art's cute and you're traveling to different planets and you're doing that kind of thing.
Doing missions, and then also it's more. We'll talk about more with the rule book, but the rule book, it's written like it's an entry level manual for Starfleet, and there's a lot of humor in there about basically giving you this high quality ship, and there's tongue in cheek humor all throughout it. Very much like most of a lot of the CGE games we've seen have this really tongue in cheek humor.
What you
in
like?
The rule books. I love the rule books from CGE. This one is not as much as humor and as like Galaxy Trucker, but it's still there, and it was still a fun read. So I think that there is a lot of theme in this game, and if you do feel it. Although if you look at the board, it looks very much like a Luxor board, where the little balls roll down the track.
Hey, that's a fun game too.
It's what it looks like, but it's basically a queuing system, which is kind of cool. As far as theme, I probably like a 8.5 on this one. I think.
I think I'll give an 8. I think it was fun. I think it definitely took you a little bit on the feel on the missions. I think they could have done a lot more though, as far as thematic throughout the game. Because like your missions are, they don't really say much on that. So I think there could have been some work on the theme. But I'm okay with it. I thought it was fine, so I'm at an 8. All right, so let's move on to the rulebook. Now, you kind of already mentioned that there was a lot of tongue-in-cheek into it, but what else about the rulebook that you enjoyed?
Well, first of all, it's 24 pages in length. I did not enjoy that particularly, but it was that. But it has a really nice section showing you all the pictures, like all the items.
Which you love component book. Why is that? What is this thing about?
Because, well, first of all, when they give you just names, if you just put the text in, then you have to figure out, okay, is this what they're talking about? What is this the piece? And then you have to count them and say, oh yeah, this is probably what they're referring to. And heaven forbid, there's 2 with the same number count. It's like put the picture in there. So this one is, even though there's a lot of bits, they did a nice job putting all the pictures of everything in there. They got a scanny thing for tutorial. I say that for you, Melissa, because I know you love me saying scanny thing. QR code. But yeah, they have, and then they do a nice job with the setup. Again, full page pictures. And then the player setup for your player board, same thing. Then they go into the gameplay, and the gameplay is basically telling you how the rooms activate, because that's really you do. You move your worker to a room, and you trigger the action of it. That's your turn, and it's set up nicely for you to understand how it goes through. There's a lot of little rules, but it's not bad as far as confusing. There was a few things that we had to look on, like some of the card references. They have some FAQ on specific cards. But we had questions on other cards that were not in here. Thankfully, Board Game Geek had the answer for the one in particular we had an issue with. But all in all, it's not a bad rule book, and I like the humor in it. I'm going to give it an 8.5 because I think the humor is a nice touch, keeps you interested in the read, and it does a good job conveying it. I just wish it had a little bit more clarity around the cards and some of the iconography.
Okay. All right. So now let's move on to the actual gameplay. So the gameplay is that you have your queue of workers. So, sorry, I'm moving my... Okay. So no matter what in your queue, you are going to have 3 in the queue. So at the end of the round or at the beginning, you'll have your workers in here and then you'll have 3 here. Okay. And then you get to trigger an action. Now, sometimes your actions require more than 1 worker, but typically it is just 1 unless you're sending out on a mission. So you can use the main room here, and at the beginning of the game, that's really all you have to go for. And you have to use a worker associated with the color of the room. So, for example, if I move my red worker over here to the movement, I'm going to be able to move up to 2 spaces. If I move the yellow gets to attack an adjacent pirate, which, like, here's an example of a pirate ship. If I were to do that, so I would attack the pirate ship, I would then get the rewards on it. So in this case, I get a blue token and a medal.
And you would get a wound.
Oh, no.
Because they fired back at you.
All right, can I have a medal too? Because it's fun.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I can reach them. There you go.
All right. So that is, for example, one action. Now I can also spin my medals. So the next the next turn occurs, I'm going to spin one of these, and I'm going to trade my gray. So my gray is like an undefined worker.
Cadet.
It's a cadet. They're not trained to do anything. So I'm going to spin one to be able to train him. I'm going to train him and make him. Looks like a yellow. I need another yellow. All right. So I'm going to spend this and make him a yellow because that sounds like a great idea. Okay, so, but you have to do that at the first thing at the beginning of your turn, which I always forgot about. Okay, so then the next thing is you can put your blue on your tech. So you're going to take one of the tech cards. Now, I will say that there were kind of two different kinds of cards at the beginning of the game. You had 3 that were end-of-game victory points, but they did, take up space in your thing, so you didn't want to get them too early. Plus, you didn't know where your points were kind of at that point. And then the other thing, which are techs. Now, the text included one-time bonuses or continuous effects or room cards, which had to be triggered by a worker. And then you had some like discard this card to activate this thing. So you have a bunch of different kind of abilities with that. All right, so...
But you also have, when you place the card, there's icons on the card that you want to line up with either ones on the board or with other cards to trigger to get perks like repairing your ship or
movement or
additional
metal.
medals. Yeah. So that was a neat little idea as far as not only is the card important, but the placement of it is important.
Yeah. All right, and then the last one is to repair a ship. Now, repair a ship, it is gray. You can put any worker on that, even the cadets. Okay, so that's the thing. Then, like I said, you have these. So, for example, if I had a blue, I could place them here and trigger that action as well. Now, one of the things is that you will notice is that you will eventually earn these goods. Now, these goods are in here. Now, if you notice that there are 2 colors, when you get 2... of the same color. So, for example, I have this. So, one of mine is half yellow, half red. The next one is blue and red. I can use them together to do a red action without a worker. So, I can either trigger a red building or I can do a movement on my board. Now, the one thing that we have not done yet is missions. So, for example, I'm going to spend these 2 to go flying. I don't have to spend any workers. So, I'm going to go to find... we're going to pretend I killed this pirate.
You could just fly that way.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. That sounds like a great idea. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go here. All right. Then that's one action. So the full round would go, and then it's my turn. So I would pick this up. I would slot it here, and I have to identify the workers that go here. Now, the thing is this one, it lets me go up on one of these 3 tracks over here, and I like that a lot. So I'm going to actually put this guy with a ring on it. Now, to get the guy with the ring, I'm going to need 3 medallions, 3 medals, and then I'm going to be able to take that and put it on one of my workers. So I had already...
That's called promoting your worker, and it gives them the ability to either trigger an action twice, or you can use it once and then use it to basically give an order to a non-promoted worker to take them back out of the queue and reuse them.
Yeah. All right, so in this case, and you get to do it. So this one, I get to go up 4 on the yellow track. Yay, get 5 victory points. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. I land on this. I get another medallion. Yay. All right, then I'm going to spend a good, get whatever the symbol has.
That lets you take one of your workers, move them down, so you get your worker back.
Yay, I get a worker back. That's always very helpful. You like your workers. Okay, and then that's worth 3 victory points at the end of the game. So I'm just going to flip that over. These slide through the queue, and that is the that's how you do a mission. Now, there is some housekeeping with that.
Yeah, so anytime you complete a mission, there's numbers on the board from 5 counting down to 1. So whenever the next mission spawns, it does not go back where the previous mission was. It goes to the highest number, replaces that number, and that number goes to the location where you just triggered the mission. So the missions are going to move around the board based upon that, but you can also then use that as a predictor of where they're going to spawn. So you might... If you don't like any of the missions that are on the board, you might go to that location so you can get first dibs at the mission when it shows up. So I like that concept too, that you kind of look at where things are going to come out on the board and predict it and go to those locations. It says in the rulebook you get bonus cool points for knowing where that's going to happen. But yeah, it's pretty cool that that you've got a system there you can kind of predict where things are going to happen. Now you don't know what card's going to come up, so you aren't going to be able to know if you've got the right people to go on that mission. But you can go on the mission regardless. You just won't get to fill every row if you submit the wrong colors. So even a cadet can go on a mission, but it just won't generate any bonus for a given row.
Yeah, because he kind of failed that piece of the mission.
Yeah.
All right, so that's pretty much the game. You kind of do the game until
you play the game for 4 rounds.
Four rounds.
Once everybody's passed because you run out of people, and then your scoring is going to be based upon your missions you've completed, or you are on the tracks. Those are the 2 big scoring mechanisms. You also have these Omega cards, there's 3 cards that are the in-game scoring cards that will be available if somebody's taken them. And then there is another card that lets you get another Omega card, but they're hard to come by. You're basically those 3 at the beginning of the game. And then you get points for basically all the tokens you've collected, either a full point or a half point, depending on the token. And then at the end, whoever's got the highest score count wins. And there's actually one of the things unique in the rulebook I thought was a lot of fun is it tells you based on every individual score point what your backstory or your final story is, which I thought that was really clever and fun.
Yeah, so I did a good job.
Yeah, and I got a boring desk job because I was too valuable to send back out on missions is what they told me. So I like that each one is unique. Even though my score was higher than yours, you got a good job, whereas I got a desk job that got basically decommissioned.
Because you were too good at your job versus where I was just like, well, keep up the good work. You die. Overall, I think the tech was a little finicky. I wish there was an ability to wipe the board. Maybe when the pirate round hit every single, when that happened after the 6 rounds or 5 things.
If you did, you wouldn't be able to wipe the Omega cards because then.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying, but
you'd have to have some other mechanism.
4 or 5 of them, but wipe 4.
The Omega cards were my biggest grievance. That you start the game with 3 of them. They are very swingy as far as points can be. So most of them range from 4 to 5 to 6 points, but there are ones that you could go higher on. And if you don't grab them, then somebody else can accumulate a bunch of them and get a lot of points, which is what happened the first game. I ended up getting 2 out of the 3, and I got the card that gives you another one from the deck. So I ended up with 3 bonus cards, and I dominated the game. This time, it didn't work out that way. We each got 1, so it was balanced, but it can be a big factor. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I think it'd been better if there was a way to get more bonus cards cycling in. I understand they wanted to keep it limited. I got that, but it seems like it's a little too limited to the point where it's basically a rush to grab those things. And even though they take up space, I never really felt like I was in a crunch for space on my board.
I wasn't either.
The big issue was that, just taking wounds, because wounds do take up space either on your tech track or in your storage. So you have to make sure you manage your wounds okay. But as long as you keep your wounds managed, which we all ended the game with no wounds, because wounds are negative victory points at the end. It just felt like there needed to be something more with the tech track. I agree. I just don't know what the best solution is because I don't think wiping the board is going to work for the Omega cards. But maybe. Well,
but the Omegas were in these 3 slots, so maybe you wipe.
Yeah, we got into situations where nobody really wanted any of the tech cards that were out there. I agree. And then the tech tracks, I like the mechanisms they have on those, where you move up the tech tracks, you get perks along the way, and there's events on all 3 of them, but only 2 will trigger. So you have to be careful because once one, you get up so far, you basically eliminate the chance to you get the event to trigger on the other one. And one of the events is bad, but that track seems to give you the best perks as you move up it. So you've got a balance there. Do you want to go up the pirate track and potentially, get a bad event happen, but it doesn't, usually they're not horrible. So it's, it's still, the perks on it are probably more worthwhile than the detriment on it. I like the managing of your inventory and the queuing system. I thought that was clever.
I thought that was actually pretty unique. Yeah. I liked that one. That one was pretty good.
Yeah, and I like the fact that you can promote and upgrade them. I thought there was a neat mechanism as far as, okay, I need this worker right now, so I'm going to convert him to this. And you can even convert one that's already been converted from red to a yellow or whatever using the metals. I thought that was a clever system. I think there's a lot of clever pieces here, but yet it still felt like there was not enough ways to score points for me. I think that was right too big. The fact that this tech track felt like it was not powerful enough and was limiting, and also you ran into situations where it became stagnant, and there was such an impetus to just complete missions to get points, and there should have been other ways to score. The tech tracks were good, help balance it a bit because it gave you another good way of scoring points, but those tracks were not nearly as powerful as getting the missions completed.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think because I think about there's so many cute little or not cute. There's so many pieces that I'm like, oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. But when you put it all together, it feels like something's missing. And I think that's what Andrew, because Andrew played with us as well. He agreed. It just felt like that there was something missing, and it may be more ways to score or more maybe something along that line, but something was missing. But let's talk about scoring. What are you thinking for score?
Well, I think it's still a good game, and I like the fact that the like the things that are unique about it. I think that were done very well, and I love the queuing system. Because I can't give it any less than a 7. I think it deserves a 7 based upon all the components of it. I just wish maybe an expansion will come out and takes that to that next level for us. Because it feels like it's missing something, and sometimes get something like an expansion, it'll fill in the holes. Because I could tell you, for example, Dune Imperium, I was not a big fan of it, but we played it in New Year's with the new expansions, changed the game tremendously for me. I like it a lot better now. I'm hoping something like that happens with this one.
Yeah, I definitely could see that. I could see where an expansion might fix. I mean, it's just like when you play Viticulture and then Viticulture with Tuscany. You're never going to play it without Tuscany ever again. And hopefully that will be the case. But I agree with you on a 7. I think there's too many unique components that they did really well to give it anything lower, but still something is missing. Well, guys, thanks so much for joining us. We had an absolute blast, and hopefully you'll come hang out with us again. We'll catch you guys later.
Bye.